Coronation Street, Betrayal in Columns and Silence. Tonight's Coronation Street episode, already available on ITVX ahead of its television broadcast, delivers a slow, devastating unraveling for Abby Webster, as personal betrayal mutates into something far darker. Abby's world fractured last week when she discovered that Carl Webster, once her brother-in-law, later her lover, had been unfaithful. That revelation alone had felt catastrophic. But this week, she learns that infidelity was only the surface wound. What lay beneath was far more corrosive. Carl had justified his affair in familiar, hollow terms. Leaving felt impossible. Staying felt like a slow collapse. When the truth first emerged, it was as if Abby had woken to find a page ripped from her life, replaced with someone else's handwriting scrawled in the margins. Rage came first, then humiliation, then the private grief. She left the home she shared with Kevin, moved in with Carl, and tried to salvage honesty from the wreckage. Then came the message, sweet, familiar, carefully worded. Abby did not reply. She dressed. She walked. The cobbles glistened with rain, shop windows glowing like islands of warmth in a grey tide. Abby assembled her day like a checklist of normality. Café Tills, a call to Debbie about wedding plans, a glance over the guest list. Ordinary thoughts, summoned deliberately. She hummed softly, an instinctive attempt to sound human. At the chippy, Raphael greeted her with a look that suggested he noticed more than most. He slid a thin envelope across the counter. For you, from the manager. Inside was a printout, rows of figures, columns that refused to behave. At the top, a note in Ryan's neat, anxious handwriting. Couldn't make sense of this. Thought you should see. Abby's fingers, still damp from washing cups, left faint marks on the paper. Numbers do not lie, but they wait patiently to be understood. As she traced the entries, patterns emerged, small transfers accumulating into something heavier, dates misaligned with invoices, a recurring maintenance charge that hovered like a ghost. Fraud felt too clinical a word. Theft was sharper. 100 yards away, Carl poured coffee with his habitual theatrical flourish, the kind meant to draw attention to his hands, not what they concealed. Grief and guilt clung to him awkwardly. His mother's funeral loomed. His apologies had the polish of rehearsal. Abby folded the paper and held it, not yet a weapon, not quite a prayer. She did not confront him immediately. She walked instead. Walking ordered her thoughts, each step a decision. Carl opened the flat door before she knocked. Red-rimmed eyes, carefully deployed vulnerability. You were going to what? She asked quietly. Tell me after the funeral that you'd been cooking Debbie's books? He reached for her hand. She recoiled. He spoke in excuses, each weaker than the last. Panic, distraction, good intentions. Debbie's diagnosis. Wanting to help. Abby laughed, a sound broken down the middle. You didn't help her. You used her. Then came the final fracture. There's more, Carl said. James. The name tilted the room. James Bailey, bright, honest, unguarded. This was no fleeting affair, no impulsive indiscretion. This was intimacy, a second life. Abby needed it to be a lie. Lies can be dismantled. Truth settles in and refuses to move. What followed was not a dramatic revelation but a cold, meticulous resolve. Abby watched. She listened. She collected. Over 48 hours, she became forensic, tracking phone glances, kitchen gossip, ledger discrepancies. Ryan, increasingly uneasy, had already noticed the patterns, payments that didn't match bookings, invoices for work never done, money flowing quietly into a personal account. Carl had access. Carl had justification. Carl had taken advantage of a woman losing her memory. Abby chose precision over spectacle. She confronted James, not with fury, but facts. He listened, visibly shaken. He had known nothing of the money. If he had, he said, he would have walked away. James was not the architect. Carl was. Abby went to the solicitor. To the police. To Kevin, armed not with drama, but evidence. Dates. Transfers. Proof. The process was slow, bureaucratic, unspectacular. But it had weight. Audits followed. Accounts froze. Carl's name became a line on an official report, and that line began to close around him. When police finally questioned Carl, there was no theater left. No charm. Just numbers and consequences. Intention mattered little beside evidence. Abby watched him taken away in the rain. No fanfare, no final speech. Just the quiet mechanics of accountability. Afterwards, people came bearing comfort. Kevin brought steadiness. Debbie brought grief and gratitude. Abby felt no triumph. Trust does not collapse with fireworks. It collapses in silence, column by column.